You got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. Apologies for missing the mark yesterday. A little bit of the flu going around. Conrad is doing his thing, getting it popping.
His desk is clean.
His desk is clean.
Nice.
Thanks, Guapo.
You got it.
We're sure that was not him.
100% Guapo.
100% Guapo.
Guapo went on like a cleaning spree.
Well, I mean, I was here. I got here yesterday. I got the message a little bit late that we weren't going to have a pod. So I'm like, you know what? I've been wanting to clean this garage. So I cleaned the garage. Then I realized I still had my saw for the palm tree outside. So I started hacking away at the palm tree. Cleaned up in here a little bit. So
It's honest work.
got some work done.
I was feeling guilty about missing yesterday, and I text Guap at like 10:30. I was like, should we just do like a solo, like just you and me? And he was already like balls deep in the garage. Like you could tell he was excited about cleaning the garage.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, man, I'm cleaning the garage out. I'm like, that can't be important. He's like, it's getting hot outside. We can park in here. Like, yeah,
important.
okay. I guess we can park in here. We have a fun show today. A lot to catch up on over the weekend, including the bluff heard around the world. The Bosnian Bandit back in action and looking more withered than ever. We have a little bit of an old, I guess, cheating ring dug up that has since been kind of quietly pushed aside again that involves the said bluff heard around the world. And then 8 new bracelet winners.
That's it? Was that all?
A lot of flowers they hand out today. So we brought in a special guest to start passing out the bouquets. One and only Chris George, CG Poker, is joining us today in studio. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
We're going to lean heavily on you to talk about mixed game prowess and why we should care.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough argument, but I'll do my best.
I don't know, man. Deuce to 7 had me sucked in. If you have Ivy involved, I'm kind of in.
I got some Ivy stories for later.
Yeah. See, you guys, you actually still have Legends of the Game in your arena. We have Bonomo. I mean, what can we do?
Yeah.
All right, let's kind of get into things since we have a lot to catch up on. So first and foremost, let's talk about Imsirovic being back and what this means, I guess, what we could potentially do from a community standpoint, since clearly the operators aren't willing to
Public shame.
ban. Well, can you shame a man who's hiding his identity?
I mean, it's not that hidden. We know who he is. We see him.
All right, so this is the first question.
Stand behind him with a bell going, shame, 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 until they kick us out.
This video is kind of funny because somebody commented, like, it's great to see Imsirovic back, and now he's slow rolling Rex because he like Nick calls here with Queen 9.
Yeah, so apparently the hand here is like hijack opens, Ali 3 bets, this guy cold calls, and then that happens.
Right, that guy had aces.
Yeah, he tried to get him and he got
buddy,
got.
Just stick in the 4-ball, like it's okay. You're allowed to 4-bet your hand.
Right.
Even though it looks like exactly what it is.
Right.
Even though it looks...
So I want to go back to the Poker News video.
I love that.
I want to go back to the Poker News video for a second because it does raise a question of, is this good or bad that we're, as media outlets, shining a spotlight on the fact that he's like back in action? Like, do you think that Poker News covering him this intense? I mean, they're picking up a random hand in like level 4 of the monster stack. Like, is this really what we're looking for? He's getting kind of like the Ivy treatment from the media outlet. Is this better this way because it can kind of catch a little bit of community scrutiny and he can hear the echoes of people saying like fuck off? Or should we just like be kind of like blackballing him, letting him fade into the abyss?
I mean, they can shine a light on him. They can tweet about him with that video, but it should just say admitted cheater Ali, I'ma steal your bitch is and then
so on and so
I
forth.
like that. I honestly like
admitted cheater, right?
Jokes aside,
Yeah.
I think like slapping the label of admitted cheater.
Right.
I think that's like a really great way.
Yeah.
Have an AC
Right.
in
Just
a little
always
circle.
lead with that.
Right.
So then everyone who ever sees him just knows.
Yeah, every headline is
Right.
just straight up like starting with admitted cheater Ali Imsirovic.
Right. Exactly.
Is that like in any other sport though? Do you ever see someone just be like labeled as cheater, like in a sports
Yeah,
broadcast? or anything?
Lance Armstrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did.
He'll never be mentioned again without being mentioned in the phrase of doping.
But
Right.
like that was after he was done competing. Like he got all the
Well, he was done because he got caught doping.
right.
Yeah.
But like
See,
Ali's
Ali
still
should be
competing.
done playing poker.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Right?
We've
Like,
let
this is
him back
unique.
in
Yeah,
spite of
right.
doping. So what else can we do?
Right.
He's back.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry, that wasn't for me. Editor note. Yeah, so I think that's a valid point to some degree, but also like I don't know, man. I'm trying to think back to like the baseball era when there was all that buzz around who was doping and who wasn't.
Mhm.
You're
And we
talking
didn't
about like
really know.
McGuire, the Bonds, the
Yeah.
Canseco's.
I'm trying to think like how much the media would. The thing was though back then, they were still playing and nothing was admitted, right?
Nothing was admitted, or if you did get caught, there were already penalties in place. You get an 80-game suspension.
Yeah.
You get this. So it's like they got caught, did what they did, served their time, and now they're back.
Like with A-Rod.
Yeah,
right,
A-Rod is a
exactly.
good example of
Where
that.
this is just like.
He just gets to freely compete.
Right. It's like I cheated, but it doesn't matter because you didn't do anything about it. You're not going to do anything about it, so I'm going to just keep playing.
Right.
So we need to like shine the light on that so everybody understands who this person is.
I actually think you're very right here.
Yeah.
Like he's very much in a large way thumbing his nose at the community of like, meh, I gotta wait. And that's what that YouTube video was. It's since been taken down. So for anybody who doesn't know the reference of what we're talking about, he put a vlog out in like January or February of 2023, I think, about a year and a half ago. And basically walked us through the timeline. He tried to like soften the truth of what actually happened and then just like got caught up in saying like, so then I started multi-accounting again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really an apology. That was more like this is how I did it.
Yeah, it was an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Right.
It was this wild admission of guilt that was like trying to be like subtly pushed beneath the, but I had to because everybody was doing it, or I had to for this reason or another, basically just kind of like, here are all the reasons why you shouldn't scrutinize me or hold me in any ill light. And oh, by the way, yes, I did multi-account. And then, oh, by the way, yes, I did it again. But like, don't look at that. And I definitely didn't look at Paul Fua's cards. And I definitely wasn't running a cheating ring or any of these other things that I'm being accused of. But yeah, I did multi-account a few times. So it's like, it's on record. He openly admitted to cheating. And, there's a lot of rumors grumbling around. Why is he in the 1600? Why isn't he in the 50K? Rumors being what they are and me not giving a shit about this kid's rep. So I'm kind of willing to talk openly about it. I think he's broke. I think he's like pretty broke. I heard that he had a pretty, he wasn't able to game the sports betting system quite as well as the online
tougher.
poker system. It's a little bit more tough
He
when
became
people.
a sports gambler?
I believe so.
Huh.
And when kneecaps are at stake, you tend not to go for the unsavory edge quite as often.
I got you.
But yeah, I think Brian's point is really good here. I think because I think actually not giving him any coverage at all is maybe a mistake.
Right.
Right.
Because then he just can slide through and just play whatever he wants and nobody says anything.
He
and
doesn't
then
want
it's
this
just like-
scrutiny.
No, he doesn't want the scrutiny.
He doesn't want the attention.
He would want to fly right under the radar, right?
Yeah.
But now if he has to go, if he knows like, if I register for this tournament, there's going to be all these cameras in my face and all these headlines calling me an admitted cheater. Think twice about entering.
Here's an example of when this previously happened. And they didn't like lead with the headline admitted cheater, but they did lead with, full tilt scandal type of stuff. Howard Lederer and Chris Ferguson. Remember when Chris Ferguson came back and won Player of the Year?
Yeah.
He did not do that quietly.
No.
I think that like it's funny because what he was a part of obviously impacted far more of the community than what Ali did. I would go out on a limb and say that Chris Ferguson impacted monetarily fewer people than Ali probably did, and for less money. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to lighten what Chris did. Like, what Full Tilt overall did impacted way more people than Ali, obviously.
Yeah.
But my understanding of Chris's involvement was more so that he was just the back end guy who developed the software and then was a partner of the company and was maybe negligent in the oversight that he possibly possessed. Like, imagine, you have some percentage of Solve for Y and we do some terrible thing and you're like a 7% equity share owner. It's like, yeah, you have some fault, but like, the CEO is really to blame.
Yeah.
The guy like Howard Lederer and what was that fat fuck's name? Ray Batar.
Yes, I remember this name.
Yeah, Ray Batar. Like these are the real people that you hold the feet to the fire for. And again, like that's not to lighten the blow on Ferguson, but it is to kind of like exemplify how aligned the community was at just. I mean, they were like booing and hissing this guy when he walked in the room.
Yes.
How is Ali not getting the same treatment?
Right.
Like imagine just like showing up and he's at your table and you just have to be like, oh. It was 2 years ago. Let the kid fucking live.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy too. Like you said, like I still don't really know what to be mad at Ferguson for, because like,
right.
It's like obviously Full Tilt dropped and all the players were just, insolvent. But like, yeah, was he really a part of all of the shenanigans or not? Or
right.
It's hard to really say still, because he didn't really do a vlog apology video like Ali did, like
right.
And a lot of the people at the top were saying like, yeah, Chris was nothing to do with this.
The line was so fuzzy between just Red Pro and like full blown ownership should be held accountable. And it seems almost in retrospect, the people that got a pass were the most likable ones. So like the Ivies, the Seidel's, nobody thought Mattisau had any real impact or oversight on the company, so they kind of gave him a pass. That collective, and rightfully so, they probably did deserve a pass. I doubt that they had much oversight of the books, and if they did, I'm very certain they didn't utilize it.
Could you imagine a world where Phil Ivey's like
exactly
doing numbers?
Right,
yeah, right,
precisely. Like he might have had like full autonomy over the entire business model and just never once acted on it.
Right.
So it's like, how could you ever be really mad at that? But it is, to some degree negligent if that's the case. But then you have this other set of people that were heavily. So the reason why I say it was super blurry is because a guy like Eric Lindgren to me would fall into the latter camp of the IV, Seidel's, Jennifer Harmon's, the Mattisau's, that whole collective. Because like, he's just like herky derpy, like getting his check, collecting the money, whatever.
Yeah, he signed a piece of paper and they were giving him money.
Right.
It's like,
but when it came out that he was indebted to the company because he was getting advances or whatever, he immediately got shifted into the Ferguson, Lederer, Ray Batar type of camp of like, this guy needs to be enemy number one.
Yeah.
So I think it was like just probably a ton of misinformation. And because, Ferguson did have, he was part of the development team. He developed the software, he coded, so he probably did have a lot more oversight in the company than a guy like Ivy, I'm sure. We really held his feet to the fire. But like the bigger point I'm trying to convey here is it's crazy that we could so align in hating this guy. And I mean, we've banished Lederer from the community. Nobody's seen him in a decade.
Right.
Or his sister, right? What happened to his sister?
She's fucking killing it. She is killing it in the public speaking domain.
Blocking every poker player that lives on
so
Twitter.
sharp. So sharp. She leverages this past career where the community is ostracizing her, and because everybody's on the outside looking in, they don't know or care that she's being ostracized and being demonized by the community that she's actually trying to use for validation.
Is this like the Annie Duke stuff?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But like the book she wrote is genius because literally any poker player worth a grain of salt could have written it, but she was smart enough to do it, say fuck you poker, and then just like go doing public speaking for $100K a pop.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Lamana?
You made more money that way.
I was just gonna say with Ali, it's it's such a different situation now as compared to then. Like these guys, the Fergusons, the Letterers, that whole group, was so much more popular through like just pop culture in general in America, right? Like
we felt betrayed,
right? Like, but like people like that are like they like poker, they watch it on TV, or maybe they play a little bit with their friend. Everybody knows who Jesus Ferguson is.
Well, and also Full Tilt was the machine driving that advertisement, right?
You think like my dad knows who Ali I'ma Steal Your Bitch is?
Right.
No, but he knows who Jesus Ferguson is, right?
Yeah,
so it's a different thing. So like it was easier to like throw the book at them or like come down hard.
It was
it was a different era in poker.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about network television. We're talking about big sponsorship deals. So I mean, they were more accessible
and it was like a level
more popular
level of betrayal almost from these popular.
There's also like group that like knew of these people that maybe they don't even know that like I still hear people talk about like Chris Ferguson in a good light.
Yeah,
they don't even understand what
they never played online.
They didn't play online, or they did, but they weren't like so invested in it that when Full Tilt went under, it didn't affect them, or they didn't follow it. Like
it's not that big of a deal, and that's what I think is happening here. I think the Ali thing is being like heavily suppressed as not being that big of a deal because the vast majority of the community has no concept to the degree at which he was cheating people. Right. They have no idea what it means to be running like mass collusion, multi-accounts, ICM databases and things like this at final tables. They have no clue what that translates to in bottom line, right? But if we just start to attach numbers to this, like he stole roughly 10 million from the community, something like that nature, that's a big figure. Yeah. That starts to resonate.
Something that's digestible to like
to the common person who's playing a $500 fucking freeze out at the Orleans with him. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm not even suggesting that like people should harass him, although maybe if they do, WSOP will consider like banning him as they should. Though they don't have a great track record of banning people who have cheated the community. Fucking
not only cheated the community, not to cut you off, Matt, but he cheated on their brand
platform,
like
on their
platform. Like he went on,
good point,
and publicly stated that is it Caesars Entertainment?
Yeah,
I cheated on your website,
right?
And I stole money from players, and now I'm signing up to play again in a live setting. And
to be fair, I do suspect. And I have a pretty strong degree of confidence that he and Jake are both banned from WSOP.com.
What is the difference?
Exactly.
What is the difference?
Your attitude.
What is different?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, obviously. But I mean, like, they're just notoriously slow to pull the ban hammer on people that have, like, spit in the face of the poker community. It's mind-boggling to me. Like, Russ Hamilton's banner up until maybe a few years ago, and it might even still be there for all I know.
I don't think so.
Like at least up until the last days of the Rio, his banner for winning the main event was still flying proudly while he ran the biggest cheating scandal in the history of online poker.
Right.
Like,
I think when that happened, they put like a big black sheet over it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was like, I think it was, his picture had a big black sheet over it for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, that's the least you can do, but like he was still registering events. Or at least he still had the capacity to register events. And I just don't understand the slowness to ostracize these type of people when we have like this man is admitting to have multi-accounted on your site nonetheless via a vlog. Like if that's not grounds for saying like we don't want your business,
right? It's not like it's a they have to go through a legal process or anything like that. It's at their discretion. It's a private entity. Yeah, it's at their discretion. Yeah. They can just say, I don't like you. I don't want you at my property. Anybody they want. They 86 people all the time.
All the time. Dumbest little stuff.
Right. So they can easily just be like, you know what? It's not a good look to have this guy in our events.
Right.
Get him out.
Yeah.
Did Triton ban him?
Yeah. So Triton's banned him, right? Triton has banned him. EPT has banned him.
Right.
Poker Ghost Studio has banned him.
It's not like you have to be the first either, right?
Right.
These other companies,
they've set the precedent.
Right, they already did it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like you're taking a leap doing it.
Right.
You just fall in line.
It really does speak, unfortunately, to how little the higher ups of the WSOP seem to care about the overall community. because they're basically saying like this guy has stolen many millions of dollars from you all, and we're going to continue to let him do his job. We're going to continue to give him the right to work, right? On our property, in the biggest events and the most prestigious events in the world, just because, why? We don't want to be the ones to send him a letter that says you're no longer welcome at Caesar's property? Maybe it's because it's not
directly their money. Imagine going to a different Caesar's property, getting caught counting cards at a blackjack table. If I'm at that property and I get caught, I can't go to any Caesar's property.
Correct.
And go count cards. And that's because I'm directly taking
It's not
money
even
from
illegal
the
to
company.
count cards. They just frown upon it.
Poker's a little different. I mean,
It's not different, though.
He's taking money from players at the table.
Right, but it's not that different. If you, like, for instance, get caught poaching a player from a cash game in Caesar's poker room, you get banned from all Caesar's property. That's it. Same thing like MGM or whatever. Like, if I get upset in Bobby's room and I throw a glass against the wall, and they say you're 86th, I'm just out. Like, I'm just out forever from all MGM properties.
Imagine Berkey just like throwing a glass.
This actually happened to Jungle Man. Like 6 years ago, he was so pissed he threw a glass against the wall and shattered it. He got banned from MGM, and then he like pleaded to Bobby Baldwin, who at the time was still VP,
and he let him back.
He lifted it after like a couple weeks.
Every year he's at risk of getting banned.
For sure. For sure. That's why he's in fucking Tibet doing these Buddhist hikes. He's like trying to find ways to not get banned from big games.
Trying to find his zen.
Where is he? Where is Jungle?
Oh man, halfway across the world. Who knows? He'll be here. You know, the 50K is coming up.
Year.
I was gonna say
He's cultivating his character for the 50K. We're not sure what it's going to be this year.
He's deep in the workshop right now.
Yeah.
I think regarding the Caesars ban for Ali, though, I think it's like a bigger picture thing. Like it's one of those things where you walk into a room with poker players and you can probably pick out 3 or 4 people that, you know, you can have a good reason to ban them.
Right.
So like, I think it's just one of those things where Caesars is afraid to like start banning people for this stuff, because then it's going to be like every year, okay, this guy, you know, I saw him multi-account last year at, you know, online. I saw this guy, you know,
I can understand.
someone.
I can understand having a slight slowness, right? Like I can understand not, for instance, banning Cabral, right? Because we haven't really found empirical evidence that he's definitely cheating. There's just like a lot of suspicion, and he's annoying, right? So those two things amplified the possibility that he's a bad actor, but like we don't know for sure. But like Men Wen has been caught for decades running a cheating ring, and you still allow him to register your events. Scotty Wynn was caught pocketing chips in the main event.
And Scotty Wynn, baby.
And there was no punishment whatsoever because he's a former main event winner, yada, yada, yada. Ali is already banned from every major tour worldwide, with the exception of WSOP and maybe WPT. I don't know, right? Like they're the only ones that don't seem to have been vocal, but we also haven't seen him show up there.
Right.
So the only reason we know about the other ones is because PokerGo made an announcement, and Ali and Jake got turned away
They tried to
at the
register.
cage of EPT and Triton. So we know that those bans have come into effect, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying like they don't deserve to get banned. It's just I think Caesar's just afraid. You know, like they're afraid to like start doing something like that because it's just gonna get really slippery sloped into the every year. It's just
They don't want
be,
like all these people coming after them. To ban this guy, ban that guy,
and
ban
then,
this
yeah,
guy.
exactly. You're gonna have like false allegations. You're gonna get people mad. Like maybe you got your aces cracked, and it's like I'm gonna get this guy banned from Caesars for life if I just tell him, you know, he cheated online.
Right, but like that's the thing is that you could just be like anything else that is fair and has checks and balances. It's like, where's the precedence, right?
Yeah.
Like when these people are guilty across the board and there's already precedent set that they're banned, right? Like I don't know for sure, but I would assume Men Wen's banned from MGM after like being caught pocketing their chips and things of that nature, right? Like we know Ali's banned from all these tours and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything slippery about that. Like, you know, you're just falling in line with industry standard. I agree with you if like it's similar to GTO Wizard Fair Play Check when it first rolled out, and you could almost weaponize that against people, where it's like, oh, like this person played this hand and looked this spot up and like, look, we found that it was like a bunch of false flags and things of that nature, right? It's like that's different. That's like a system that's in place to help promote fair play that's suddenly being weaponized into being able to eliminate your competition,
Which was very easy to do.
right? And you know, kudos to them. They've made a lot of corrections and sites have gotten on board with them. But more importantly, like, it never became like we are the ones as the community that get to decide. And I'm not even advocating that we are the ones as a community that get to decide in the future. I'm advocating that when Russell Hamilton gets caught running the biggest cheating ring of all time, you publicly come out and say, this guy's not welcome on our property any longer. And you take his fucking banner down, right? I'm publicly advocating that when somebody's banned from 5 major tours worldwide, you step up and say, like, you know what, we're the industry leader as the WSOP. We're not going to accept this guy's business either. That just seems really sharp and intelligent from a business perspective, right? And they don't even need to be that public about it, right? Like, if they don't want the potential scrutiny of like publicly banning somebody because maybe there are lawsuits that could take place or litigation that might follow, then just do it quietly. Send him a fucking letter and we never see him in another event. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I would encourage the Win to do the same thing. It's like, you're now stepping up to being the second option to the WSOP. You don't want this guy in your fucking field.
Right.
Period. You just don't. You know, it's like you're not treading lightly here. Other people have already taken the risk. They've already stepped up and said, like, these guys are not welcome in our venues. Just follow suit.
Do you think that there is actually, like, they're afraid of, like, getting this into litigation and stuff?
No.
No. The thing is what can be litigated? They actually don't even have to tell you why they don't want you in their tournament.
Right.
It's not like the person at the cage is going to be like, well, you know, we heard that you were cheating or whatever. You could just say, we don't want your business and leave it at that.
Yeah. I don't think it's a fear thing. I think it's more so what you were originally speaking to, where they just refuse to...
They want money.
I don't think it's that. I think they refuse to stick their necks out in any sort of capacity, right? Like, I truly think this is like a risk-free ban, especially considering like other people that are banned and like what they've been banned for. It's literally straight up nothing, right? But I do think that they have some sense of like changing the guard, if you will, where it's like, okay, we're doing this now. We are going to be the vigilantes. We are going to be the brand that says, no, we don't accept cheaters. And that's a real big shift from where they've been at, where it's just like, that's not for us to police. You know, if we catch you on our property, that's different. We'll ban you. But otherwise, like, whatever's going on outside of these 4 walls, we, the WSOP, do not care. And I think that's a big problem when you're the industry leader. You don't get to turn a blind eye to the industry as a whole and just say, well, we manage our own, we police our own. It's like, do you though? Right? Because, like, you know, we just see an incidents last week where men cheat somebody out of what's not that much equity, but like, you know, 4 big blinds worth of EV. And the response was just like, okay, well, that happens sometimes.
Unlucky.
Right, unlucky. And yes, there is user error where that does happen sometimes, but when it's Men Wen that fucking does it, it's not a coincidence. Yeah. You know? It's like, this is not the first time.
Hey man, he came out and said it that he didn't intend to do that.
Whoa,
on
yeah.
Poker News.
Yeah, he did.
He said that.
What else would he say? I got you, bitch.
I meant it.
Imagine if he came out and said, yeah, I have multi-accounted many, many times and I'm going to do it again. And then the response is still like, meh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Men steal your chips.
That was, yeah, I don't know. That was like a frustrating thing to see. I guess, like, I just don't think these things are that hard to correct. And it's bothersome to me that the feeling that I get as a community member is that they just don't care. Yeah. And that kind of sucks.
Right.
It's like, you would hope that of all the brand, like, I could completely see a world where it made more sense for PokerGo not to take action than WSOP, right? Because, like, PokerGo is very insulated. It's smallish whenever you're talking about, like, the events that it runs. It's prestigious, sure, but it also is, like, very insulated to a niche group. And if that group was just kind of like, we don't think that he deserves a live ban, no harm, no foul kind of thing.
Where do you think the buck stops? Is it Jack?
I don't know.
Caesars Entertainment?
No. I mean, there are people above Jack that could easily make this call. I'm sure Jack has some influence.
Now that Jack's like shredded, they like, if you admitted cheating or you're suspicious of it, you have to fight Jack in the ring. And if Jack If you come out alive, then you can keep playing. But I don't know. Jack might just start banning people then. I don't know, man. He's pretty jacked right now. So
maybe he's just like in a little bit of a fighting mood. I can relate to that.
Ethan versus Dustin, their closer. 3 minutes in the ring, and if someone gets knocked out, you can still keep wailing on them. If you beat me, the debt is clean.
But like with Poker Go, I think that like maybe it's different because like when it's Ali in a field of thousands of people, he kind of just goes under the radar. Where like,
well, they hope he does, right?
They hope he does. I mean, but like when it's Poker Go and there's 30 people in the event, you're just gonna see Ali there every day at the final table all the time.
Listen,
so
and I didn't mean to diminish what Poker Go did. I think that they were very courageous in stepping up and saying like, absolutely not. Like they listened to their clientele, and their clientele resoundingly was like, we cannot have this man continue to earn through us.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not okay. And like there was this narrative of reframing it of like, oh, it's because he's too good. And it's like, no, it's like, we are just standing on some level of ethics and principle. Right? It's like, you don't get to just fucking cheat me and then play me again the next day on the up and up.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it better. It doesn't go away.
Right.
You know, and I would just really love to see WSOP change their stance on this, but I'm probably shouting into the void here. So let's talk about other things WSOP could potentially change. And this one is completely a meme because I truly don't care. But Lewis Spencer tweeted, I just sent you the ASAC WAP. Lewis Spencer tweeted a couple days ago, 5K 6 max the day before the 250K is incredibly lame scheduling from the WSOP. Now, I want to preface this with saying that I fucking love Lewis. He's one of my favorite humans in the world, and I swear to all that's holy, if any of you come after him, I will break you.
We love Lewis the Scarf.
Now, with that being said, the fuck are you doing, man? This is the dumbest tweet I've seen on the internet in quite some time. It's like, why don't you just write, I play high rollers now, guys. Have you seen? Did you see? Did you see that I'm going to play the 250K? I just don't see how this is much of an issue, if any. There's going to be like 25 people in the 250K. So we lose 25 regs for the 5K that's going to have 1,000 plus people in the field.
Yeah.
Now that I know that Lewis isn't in it, I'll probably play it, to be quite frank.
Just makes the 5K a little softer.
Yeah, as it should. And I get what he's saying. Like, you know, when you play high rollers, you have like a floor in your schedule. And, you know, the 5K 6 max is one of those events that's like a can't miss. It's a nice makeup eater if you're firing 200Ks as well, where it's like, oh, well, I could play this and, you know, run deep, maybe make $500,000 and get myself a little bit less buried. Maybe win 2 buy-ins, you know, for the 250K. Give myself a little cushion. But it's so tone deaf, bro. Like, the majority of the people that target the 5K 6 max, like, the reason it's 1,000 people is because 350 of them are recreationals that love 6 max and like don't feel comfortable firing the 10K.
Yeah.
Like, it feels too big, right? So this is like a sweet spot for them where they're like, I feel okay putting up 5K. I know the field is going to be reg heavy, but I also know that it's 6 max and I'm going to have a blast. And you know, whatever. And it's like to give you like, hey, WSOP. Hey, we're not going to have the proper scarf representation.
What is this accent?
This is Lewis the Scarf.
Wow. It is not approved.
And I would like to be in the 5K. And I think he should play the 5K.
Lewis the Australian Scarf.
It's not Australian. Australian, mate.
It's not something.
Not Australian. Okay. Listen, let me do my scarf accent. Okay, this is the British Sven, if you will.
Peak Scarfy.
Right. The British Sven is actually just Lewis. That's the avatar for British Sven.
People keep coming after him about having the scarf in the avatar.
It's not even a scarf. It might be a scarf.
It's like a mask scarf.
It's like one of those gaiters.
Yeah.
You know, that you wear hunting.
You don't gotta have it.
Point is, it's a choice.
It is a choice.
It's a choice for sure. But listen, if you fucking come after Lewis and make fun of him in any capacity, RAA, I'm talking to you. I see you out there talking shit. Absolutely not. Lewis is off limits. He doesn't know any better. Okay? He's my favorite. We need him in the cash games. Protect this man at all costs. God. All right.
I feel like that's a tweet that somebody that's like a little older can make. You know, like more seasoned.
Yeah, so that was actually it's a really good point.
It's not a bad tweet. It just comes from the bad source.
Well, the thing is, somebody older would know not to make that tweet. But I see what you're saying. Like, I was reading the replies. I'm obviously joking about Arya, but like Arya was kind of dunking on him.
Piggly Wiggly Ray showed him hard.
Yeah, and like seeing the way it's so light the way he's getting dunked on, right? It's just like this is a tone deaf tweet, and they're being funny about how they say that to him.
Thoughts and prayers, Lewis. Thoughts and prayers.
Exactly. And my take reading that was just like, yeah, he's just kind of like he's young and hungry. And like can't see the forest for the trees. He doesn't know his own privilege at this point. It's like he's a really young kid who just like shot right up the ranks and is playing high rollers, where it's like for the older guard, it took us 20 years to play our first 100K. You know what I mean? It was like that was a really big fucking my first 100K, I had 95% of myself. I swapped with Jeremy Osmus. That was it.
That's a good swap.
Go?
Not good. Not good. I lost a flip on day one. It was brutal. So yeah, I mean, you know, for some of us, when we play fucking high rollers, we really play high rollers. Okay, we're not fucking around with like 2.5%. And I think for that, because of that, like our generation is used to funding our own gambling habits, if you will. You know, really.
I don't know about that one.
Well, I mean, the successful ones.
Well, yeah, that's.
I mean, if you're talking about
handful.
like, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about like the other side of it, where it's like the Chinos or the Matisows or whatever, it's like sure they find ways to be in action, but they're also not really firing the biggest stakes quite as often.
How many people do you think have all of themselves in the 250K?
None now, but like the first, like for instance, the first $1 million one for one drop.
Yeah.
I think Antonio had like 40% of himself. That's a lot for $1 million buy-in.
I think
it's unheard of.
The grinder actually had all of himself, didn't he?
No way.
Yeah,
I don't think the grinder's ever had all of himself.
No, I think he won the 50K Players Championship and used that as a satellite to get into the one drop.
I would be shocked.
That's what I remember hearing. I don't know. Maybe that was wrong, but
I would both be shocked and also not surprised at the level of degeneracy.
People are smarter now. You know, people know like the edges in these things are so small.
Yeah.
And like,
but like another good example would be like Rast when he won the PPC. I think the second time in 2017 ish. He had like 200% of himself. So it's like to play a 50K that you've turned into a 100K. And then just go out and win. It's like it's just and this isn't shade. This isn't meant to be framed as this next generation is doing it wrong. It's quite the opposite. They're very much doing it right. You should be risk off, and you should be very responsible with your bankroll and stuff like that. For us, this whole landscape was new. So when a random 50K pops up that you think is high value, well, we were just programmed to be EV chasers.
Yeah. You go like, of course I'm winning. Like
us old guard, we're all degenerates. The new guard are like smart investors.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Right. But it was also very similar to new markets where it's like we were first. We were first to market. So there was a level of degeneracy that was like expected because you didn't have the ability to be sharp.
Right.
You know? So,
we learned from your mistakes.
Exactly.
Yes.
We walked so you could run.
It was a young market back then.
Right. And I think all of this is fine. I also just think that that's why like this turns into a meme thread because we're kind of the old man shaking our fist at clouds of like, you have no idea what we went through to play our first fucking high roller, buddy. And you're out here complaining that it conflicts with a fight. You have no idea what we did to play our first fucking 5K, buddy.
I mean, like, just whatever example, like, call it selling final two tables or final table, like, at ICM values, you know? Like, that wasn't really a thing back in your day. It's like you gamble and you win the flip or you lose and you're either going to be broke or poor.
There weren't even chops back then.
We didn't even know what ICM was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
But like, that's the only reason why like things are the way they are now with like people trying to be risk off and like very high
the market's
equity
a lot more
spots.
mature, and as markets mature, sharp people find the little pockets of ways to de-risk, to take profits, things of that nature. And I think like your generation is all better for it. You're all better poker players than us. You're more studied. You're learning faster. Like every single person in the next generation is so much not everybody, but like on average, you guys are so much further along in your careers at the age, like if we all started at the same point, you guys are so much further along at the early stages of your career than we were, like with twice as much time. But again, you know, it's one of those things where there's a big disconnect because of the paths traveled.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis has played poker for a few years and now doing this stuff because he's good. And like, oh, hey, like we see value. This guy's good. And like everyone else that's seeing it from afar that have been playing for decades is like, he has no idea how privileged he is to be playing at 250K in the first place. When I was his age, I was playing 2-5 cash at the fucking whoever. And I was playing like my big shot take was playing like the 3K 6 max or something.
Yeah.
It's like now you're complaining about playing at 250K, like kind of grow up sort of thing. But I get his points, just not from you.
Right.
Someone else. Find someone else.
Right. And it's a very select. So, like, maybe, just maybe, if Chewy was kind of like...
You'd be like, damn, like, I wanted to play the 5K, man, but, like, the 250 is, like, too good to pass up. And it's like, oh, I get it. I understand. You've done it all. But, like...
And honestly, even Chewy might just be like, well, I could have 100% of myself in the 5K or like, you know, 5% of myself in the 250. Maybe I'll just fire the 5K, and if I'm lucky enough to make day 2, I miss the 250.
He'll make like an engagement poll. Like, what do you guys think, huh? Like 100% of the 5K or 5% of the 250?
Right.
Thoughts? And then let's make a poll.
Yeah. I mean, like, listen, I brought this up to just continually reiterate the message that I swear to all that's holy, if you guys say a negative fucking word to Lewis the Scarf, I will fist fight you myself. This man needs to be protected.
You almost played tournaments because of Lewis the Scarf.
That's right. I was very close to firing the 25K because he said he would wear full clown mask or face paint rather in the 250K.
See, but what if he's playing the 5K now? That would be his way out.
Yeah.
That's true.
He'd say, oh man, mate, I would love to have done it, but instead I'm playing the 5K.
Yeah.
Had to play the 5K, my makeup eater.
Hey, respect to him if that's the case. All right, let's talk about the bluff heard around the world. The heads-up match between Yo Viral and the eventual winner of the $2,500 no-limit freeze-out, which was, hold on, I got it here somewhere.
Oh, I hope we have the sped-up clip.
We Guapo trimmed it up for sure.
Okay.
Antonio Galeanas. I said I wasn't going to try to pronounce it, and here I am.
You did it.
Yeah.
It was good.
So Antonio Galeana won the 2,500. Before we get to this bluff, let's very quickly go through the accusation of a former cheating scandal that he was a part of. Now, all of this seems to be wiped away, so I'm not bringing this up to like besmudge his name or anything along those lines, but it was just kind of fascinating reading the details of the complexity of this this like cheating. I don't even know what to call it. It's like not a ring. It's like it was like a scam. It was basically a scam. So basically, the way I understood it was these stables were formed to play spin and goes, and they were mostly just playing, I believe, for rakeback, which was somehow like getting chopped up amongst the CFP or the stable.
The EV chop.
Okay, yeah, there you go. And the way that this was then basically stolen from was to fake the actual events themselves. So they were basically keeping the buy-ins, demonstrating losses through faked hand histories, using a spoofed website that was like just one character different than the actual site, which I guess didn't get caught very quickly. They used a stolen passport. There was identity theft. Multi-accounting was taking place. It has everything that you need in like a good crime drama.
It should be banned from WSOP?
No, well,
That's
no.
a good question.
So, I mean, it is a good question, but basically, what came of this was that Antonio was a part of the side that was scamming. And after it really caught waves, I think Poker News did an article on it. The person who was scammed basically came out and said that he had spoken to Antonio one-on-one, and they had reached an agreement where he believes that Antonio had very little to do with the actual scam itself, and that it was the other person that was listed in the 2+2 thread. I think it was like, was it Free Cycle maybe? The Raul de Vega Sanchez. So I think if you scroll up in the title, it has his online screen name. Yeah, Sixth Finger. That's what it was. So it sounds like he was the ringleader of all this, and it's very old. It's 6 years ago, I think. 2018 is when this came. But if you want some good reading, man, the poker community is just like rich with fucking scandal.
It's just drama filled. It's like my wife likes to watch, the Housewives. I like to scroll on 2+2. And,
right. I was a big CSI fan growing up, crime scene investigators, and it's always like the whodunit, and you get within an hour you get all the clues and the final reveal at the end. 2+2 is a fucking treasure trove for these sort of like online scandal type of things, and man, we've just seen every fucking angle of it. It's like if there is a way to make unsavory money, the poker community will find it, and they will gamify it. They will turn it into a sit and go format where they're just reaping all the benefits. So I don't want to underpin this cheating thing too much or attach it too much to Antonio's big win, especially when he certainly pulled off the hand of the year.
Amazing.
There's just no doubt in my mind that this is going to be the GPI winner.
10-6-3. Eight of clubs on the turn. Deuce of clubs on the river. Flush for both.
So we've got a little theft from Galeana, and now Johan simply cannot call. If he wants to win, he's going to put in a raise and does just that.
And that's what he does. A small raise at that.
And there's just simply no way for Galeana to call, right? The only decision is, okay, I could raise, or excuse me, I could fold now, or I could raise once more. This is very bizarre. It's a game of chicken between both players. Who will jump out of the way first?
And that game will continue right here, right now.
Oh my goodness, he does raise. Nobody has anything.
Galeana makes it 6.3 million.
I mean, is Johan really going to see through this? The 3-bet on the river.
This would be some kind of outrageous.
I can't fathom him pulling the trigger and clicking it back. This would be one of the sickest plays we'd have ever seen. Oh my gosh. I mean, I know he takes his time. This one is necessary though, because I believe he is genuinely considering something heroic. Oh,
reaching,
oh
announces
my gosh.
raise.
Are you kidding me? How does he find it?
Makes it 10 million.
This is unbelievable. Nobody believes.
No,
are you?
Galeana jams.
What?
The final level of that game has been reached.
Yeah, Yo hasn't even finished his raise yet.
Right.
He's already been jammed on.
No way.
The graphics haven't even caught up.
No way.
So I guess Yo raised to like 10.7-ish, something like that. Man, there's so much about that that's remarkable, and there was so much discussion on Twitter about like, why is this reasonable or unreasonable? Should he have called? A lot of things that are very speculative, but I think what is most important is that people are eliminating certain hands from each of the ranges. And I think that's difficult because they're 50 effective, and like Yo has just kind of demonstrated that he's going to limp a fucking lot. And I think that there were points where he was kind of like limping hands that maybe pure RFI or like come close to it. So I think both of them have the naked ace of clubs here at a frequency. Like, it's non-zero for sure. There's like, you know, a lot of offsuit ace X in the big blind that like you're just not necessarily going to ISO, at least not full frequency. And then like, you know, 9-7 of clubs probably isn't going to ISO from the big blind. It should be opening on the button, but like again,
5-4-2.
Yeah, 5-4-2. But like maybe Yo just finds limps with these hands sometimes. You would think that like the way that this ultimately plays out is not that they both have nothing, but that they're like fighting back and forth between a 7 high flush and a 4 high flush.
Maybe the ace of clubs then just finds a call at some point.
Possibly.
Right? So then, if they're raising, it's like, well, he doesn't have the ace of clubs because he would have just called. So like,
yeah. I mean, it's a huge leveling war, obviously. Right. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, especially if you have like if you have the 4 of clubs in your hand.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, now do I turn a flush into a bluff?
Right.
Yeah, I just blocked the.
That seems like where this would more commonly be happening is like the 4 of clubs potentially bluffing against maybe like the 7 of clubs, which is also potentially bluffing because they have other flushes, obviously. It's just at what point do they stop raising them?
Right.
You know, because like, you know, the king of clubs, queen of clubs, jack of clubs, whatever, they want to put some money in. You want somebody who's trying to attempt to chop to fold or to call rather with worse. But yeah, it's just, it was a fascinating back and forth. We sped it up for you a little bit. Obviously, we cut a lot of the tanking out, but they didn't. I mean, 50 big blinds went in pretty quickly there over the course of like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I've never seen Yo Viral fold so fast.
Yeah.
He knew he was folding.
Well, I think like once he 4-bets,
gets jammed on. Yeah,
like when he chooses the 4-bet not all in, because he could have just shoved himself, right? 6 million is a big 3-bet there, where you only have 20 million effective. Like you're only jamming for pot ish. You know, it's not that unreasonable if you think that the guy's making a play. And obviously for him to 4-bet click there, he does think the guy is full of shit enough. The dangerous thing when you think somebody's like full of shit and you go for the click is you stop forgetting what you're representing at this point and you just start counting on the fact that he has nothing and will fold.
Right.
And the issue is that if the other person is considerate of like what you're representing, they just won't fold.
Right.
Because they still have one more bet left. You know what I mean?
This is like, reminiscent of the Ivy hand, right? The greatest. That was like the greatest hand of all time. Where they were clicking back and forth, and he finally was the one that shoved.
It was like Queen 8 off versus like 7 high or something. They both didn't have anything,
and they were clicking back and forth, and just like whoever puts in that last bet, last where they can be all in, wins.
There was like a major difference in that hand though, like because Ivy actually had the best hand.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So like, was that even a bluff? You know,
right.
Like.
Look at Guapo bringing it right up. He's
just can't wait to find it. I mean, back then, I think, like now, obviously, we would analyze this and say, like, I don't even think he was bluffing. You know, you just have the best hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a king high board or something like that. And with the way the action took place in 2005 versus Ivy, people just like folded top pair. And I think like that's the level that he was on, or they fold some pair.
Yeah.
You know, so he's kind of like on the level of like, oh, this guy's like not wanting to bluff catch me, so he keeps sticking in the next action, but like the next action is only repping sets, and fuck him, he doesn't have one. Right. So eventually like you just reach a culmination where it's like, well, if you don't have that set that you're repping, you're gonna fold everything else, and you've made tremendous errors along the way. You know, it's wild. Like Jackson fucking taking 6-5, finding the check raise here. I mean, like, you just have to have a death wish. Like, I'm just going to outplay him this hand.
Yep, that's what they're thinking, right?
What did you have? Nothing. Rags.
Just watched rounders one too many times.
Yeah, and then I made a score. Oh, man. Fantastic hand, though. So fucking entertaining. I know we're kind of removed from it because it happened on Saturday. But, man, when it happened, like, we were watching it real time in Bobby's room.
Oh,
the room
really?
was fucking going nuts.
Oh, I bet.
It was going nuts. It's a lot of fun to sweat these bracelet final tables while you're playing because you don't pay that close of attention, but there are enough big moments. Like when Brice Buffer hopped on the mic to announce day 3 start of play at the 50K. That was a fucking chilling moment.
Yeah.
Like hearing him do his thing. Go, you run it with sound. Just start at the beginning.
$50,000
he's actually at FT2.
Right.
It was sick.
It's not just like he's doing it for them.
No,
It's
he's
like, I'm doing this for
and now I'm
Mickey.
going to go to battle.
Yeah.
He fired 2 bullets too.
I was so he broke even-ish.
No,
No,
he
he
won.
made money, right?
He definitely
100K.
won,
Yeah.
Cooking.
Fucking
Man is
112K.
cooking. Man is definitely cooking.
8th place for the boy.
Yeah, I could see like when he was walking back to his seat, like he was a little fucking juiced.
Yeah.
You know? He's like,
Lock in.
oh, yeah, let's go.
I think I saw like an interview about him like getting hyped for these things. Did
Yeah.
he
Oh,
like
yeah,
like
you
tear
guys like
his-
stretching
he, like,
and like
tore
doing
his,
the whole thing.
like Achilles or something one time, like prepping, like
He
right?
stretches now before he does.
Yeah, like,
announcements and
he
stuff,
hurt
yeah.
himself like getting ready to. Yeah, it's funny.
That's wild. I was present for him doing that once in at Poker Go. I think it was the Stormex Invitational. He kicked it off, and I didn't think it was like I was almost like memeing it. Like I'm just gonna video this because like what the fuck are we doing here? We're at a charity invitational. Brice Buffer's doing the fucking it's time thing. And by the end of it, I was just like, I'm gonna run through a fucking wall.
You're ready to go.
Let's go. It's time.
Yeah.
And I was just amped. I was like, man, like this just won't ever get old.
No.
And it translates to literally anything. I mean, it's like after that whole display, usually a fight breaks out. But instead, these guys are going to sit and play 6-handed poker because I think there was like 13 left at the time. It's like,
Imagine him at the U.S. Open on the golf course doing that. Just getting all the golfers all fired up.
Yeah, it's just making poker players feel like they're warriors.
Yeah.
Like on the battlefield.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we're not going to get that feeling any other way, so we might as well have them do it.
right. Yeah. Well, big shout out to Sergio Auto, who ultimately won that event. He beat Chance heads up. I believe they worked out a small chop based off of some of the social media I saw Chance putting out there.
Chance said he got 1.6.
Yeah, so 1.7-ish to Sergio, 1.6 to Chance. Victor Blum makes his return. Isildur, fucking ICM torching it out there, but God bless this man.
He doesn't give a fuck about
He
ICM.
doesn't give a fuck. I wish he would have jammed those 10s on the turn so badly.
You probably want him at 24. Definitely does.
Yeah, I think so too. He has a little bit more respect for money now. Adrian Mateos finished 4th. Jesse Lonis 5th. Jonathan Jaffe. Jonathan, we got to play some pickleball, man. Hit me up. He got 6th place for $367K. And then
If
Brice
Jaffe's
Buffer.
even half the ping pong player that he is at.
You mean half the
pickle.
pickleball player?
Yeah.
He's very good at.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. He's good with a racket, man. I've seen him play ping pong. He's very good.
he's like a low-key gym class hero. Like he's very good at all the sport things. We used to play wiffle ball like way back in the Turning Stone days. Like,
Wiffle ball.
Yeah, when he was like 22. He's always just been like a man about the athletics. And I've played pickleball with him. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unconventional in his approach. I imagine he's much, much better at singles than he is doubles, but he's quite good. He just gets to fucking every single ball.
Yeah, so
but
he's athletic, yeah.
Yeah, he's very athletic, but he relies on it a lot more than like mechanics.
Sure.
So like he's not really at the net, dinking, trying to set up like putaways and stuff like that.
I feel like Connie plays the same way.
Yeah, 100%, except he's brain dead and and too athletic for his own good, to be
The
honest.
man's sitting right there. Don't.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. He's homesick and he's like, oh, I'm puking. And I was like, oh, man. My immediate reaction was like, oh, man, this must be bad. And then I realized he just pukes every day. Like, he brushes his teeth and he pukes.
He kind of scammed you there.
Yeah, it's just like this guy has like the gag reflex of, I don't know, someone who has, a very sensitive gag reflex.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't know where you were going with that one.
I didn't know because
He didn't
obviously
know either.
the innuendo is the opposite, like no
Right,
gag
right,
reflex.
right.
He's has the most sensitive gag reflex. All right, we got a lot of bracelet winners to cover, so let's get through those really quickly.
All 8 of them.
7
Good
more.
transition.
Now. 6 more. The 800 No Limit Hold'em Deep Stacked 8-handed event was actually the 3rd bracelet for this man. Timur Margolin wins his 3rd bracelet in the 800 Deep Stack, $342,000, which is pretty impressive considering I've never heard of him. But he's an Israeli native who I'm not sure what his other 2 bracelets are in. I always assume that people with multiple bracelets are mixed game players, especially if they're not American.
It's hard to win if you're playing these low buy-in,
Right.
massive field no limit events, it's hard to get more than one. It's hard to get one.
It's tricky.
It's really hard to get three.
Very tricky out there to navigate these things. So I'm not sure if he actually plays mixed games. Maybe Chris has some insight on that.
No, yeah, I haven't heard of him, but 3 bracelets.
3
is pretty-
bracelets, man. 3 fucking
nice.
bracelets.
He's won 3 bracelets this series?
No.
Oh,
It's just his third. But fun fact, for the last 25 years,
nobody's won 3.
there's Jeffrey Lissandro did in like 2008, I think. No, there's been a couple. But
Seaver might.
over the last 25 years, there's been a double bracelet winner every single year. Very surprised by that.
That is,
That seems hard.
That seems hard.
Seems hard.
Yeah.
Also, all 25 years, it was a mixed game player. No, I don't know that.
But likely.
I think it
I'm
might be
starting
true,
to
though.
I feel a little hate
I
over
mean,
here towards the mixed games community. Is this-
Scott Ball won the 1 drop, like the mini 1 drop, and then the 5K
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
max and no limits.
Yeah.
It's not hate. It's just, it's easier.
It's envy.
To win.
Oh,
It's
okay.
envy.
Easier
All
to
right.
win a mixed
Yeah.
game. Only because of the field size. Not that the games are easier.
No, the games are easier.
Are they?
How much of a decision do you have to make for one big blind, bro?
I bet
to
the
Ryan
mixed,
Lang.
I bet the mixed game fields are much tougher.
Yeah.
than
Hey
the
man,
no
someone
limit
folded for
fields.
half a bet
God,
Yeah.
I've leveled myself quite a few times in my life. That one would not have been it. Top pair for a half a blind.
against
You
Jungle
earned
Man.
it, Jungle. You earned it. I call.
You had a value hand.
Now get out of here.
You had a value hand that got raised.
Yeah. Yeah, you want them out. All
Womp
right.
womp.
Who else we got, Bert?
We got John Favre wins the 10K Big O championship for
John Favreau, this is the guy that
681,000.
did Iron Man.
Yes, also swingers.
Not the same man.
I think Cal got second.
Spelled a little bit differently. This is an interesting event to me, man. I don't know how people play Big O.
Just 5-card PLO, right?
5-card PLO 8.
split pot?
PLO 8. Wow.
Yeah. Just seems like a lot of things going on here.
A lot of cards.
God bless these
Special
guys.
players, special plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those games that recreationals feel like a lull of security, Like
Right.
They think that it's a low variance game and it's going to be great and they're going to get a lot of play. And so
Mm.
it attracts a big field. Like, I'm surprised.
Just because there's a lot of split pots and
I always thought it was going to get a big field if they made an event, but I didn't think it was going to be like
1,458
Yeah.
entries for a 10K.
it's crazy.
it
That's-
was that big.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Wait. Hold on.
Wait, did you say 1,400?
Yeah. Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was the $1,500 Big O.
Now that makes sense.
Uh,
I'm like, you got 1,400 entries
which
for a
was
10K?
which was won by Scott Abrams last year. Sorry,
Okay.
I was misreading.
That's
This
fine.
event
10K did get a lot though.
This event got 332.
That's still really good.
Yeah.
For a non-no limit 10K.
Yes.
That's very good.
Right.
Yeah, I think the 10K stud high got like what, under 80?
100.
Or got 100?
I could be wrong.
No, you're probably right.
I might be
wanna say
thinking.
it got like
I might be thinking
120 or
it deuced to
something.
7.
You know what it was?
110
they
or
have
something
the
like that.
the late reg on day 2 now.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
it
So you
was
just
it
come
was
in.
like 70 at the end of day 1 and then it jumped to like 100 something.
Yeah.
A new event this year, which I was very disappointed to see the actual structure of. I didn't realize I could have gotten duped here by playing this.
Oh, the bomb pot.
So
It's not all bomb pots.
correct. It's mixed no limit hold'em and PLO double board bomb pot, but they only play the double board bomb pot once in orbit. So once every 9 hands, they play a bomb pot, and it
Okay.
rotates between hold'em and Omaha.
Ooh, I
The
thought
other
it was
8
every
hands.
hand was
so
a bomb
did
pot.
So did I.
Sad.
Very sad day.
Scam.
Seems very scammy. So it's not really a bomb pot tournament. It's just a tournament that includes bomb pots.
Right.
Nevertheless, Xingjiang Lao was able to take this one down. It looks like he garnered 1,312 entries. First place was 270K. Again, this was the first time they ran this event. I would love to see them just run a straight bomb pot type of event next year. I don't care. Like, it seems as though double board Omaha bomb pots are a lot more popular. I actually think double board Hold'em bomb pots are a lot more skillful, to be quite honest. I think the edge is much greater for people who know what they're doing, because I think like basically a split pot Hold'em game there's a lot more bluffing involved, basically, because there's less overlap between the two boards.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a matter of like trying to figure out if your opposition is going for top or bottom. Like there's a lot of sticking your neck out because everybody involved is often only going to have access to one board.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of room for making big errors and getting caught. Now, obviously, this exists in PLO as well, but there's going to be way, way, way more overlap between the two where you have a no-brainer up top and then you're drawing to a win at the bottom type of thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they're both interesting. I would just like to see them be exclusive.
I wonder how many of those 1,300 entries didn't realize the format.
I'm sure
I imagine a lot.
Yeah.
I would bet a big
At
percentage.
least one.
It would be interesting
Yeah.
if they run it again next year and the numbers just like dramatically drop.
If they don't change the structure,
Yeah,
you're
and
saying?
then the
Yeah.
year after they'll be like, okay, well we just have to make it all the way through.
They would have
Yeah.
they would have scammed me too.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, oh, like I don't know how PLO works, but like I like bomb
You're like, I'll
pots.
figure it out.
Right.
And then now you have to play both. Yeah.
But now you have to play the game. I don't want to play the game.
Legend of the Game wins the 7-card stud championship. So yeah, it was 107 entries.
There you go.
We were able to double check our math. James Obst takes this one down.
Wow.
Nice.
He's back.
He is back. He's
Funny,
back
every
and better
time I
than
think
ever.
of him, I think of him folding a full house to a straight flush correctly.
Really?
Yeah.
In what?
You don't
In
remember
the
this from the
main.
main event?
No.
Oh man,
he
yeah, this
folded,
is a
yeah.
big hand.
Yeah.
Godspeed, my friend. I do remember somebody folding quads in the $1 million to one drop to John Morgan straight flush. He never confirmed he had a straight flush, but motherfucker had 9-10 spades. Like don't get it twisted. He had 9-7 or 9-10 of spades for sure.
Oh, it just
Oh wow. You just have that in the pocket. Wow.
Wow. Oops,
and he
for
folds
sure.
correctly. That's the wild thing.
I mean, to be fair,
It's a small full house, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
he's losing to a lot of hands
Matt's
here.
folded full houses before.
yeah.
He's losing to a lot more
Jack
than just.
10,
Not correctly, though.
Queens,
Yeah.
jacks, and
If he had queens,
Jack
if he
Thanks everybody for saying what we lose to.
yeah, thanks, Brian. If he,
What else does he lose to?
if he had like,
straight flush, which is there.
if he had like queens with the queen of hearts and folded, I think that would be like significantly more impressive, right? Because like you would be blocking all queen 10 at that point. Like if you have queen of hearts, queen of diamonds,
I mean,
you're blocking all queen 10.
You probably can't, right?
Can't fold.
Queens.
I don't think you can fold, but I'm saying that would be much more impressive.
Is it?
I'm just saying it would be more impressive. That's all. So Opes beats Volpe heads up here, 260,000.
Come on, Volpe.
This is, I'm not sure how many bracelets this is for Opes. Used to be a professional tennis player.
Didn't he like stop playing poker to try to make tennis work?
Yeah.
Yeah, he left poker 2019 at the age of 28 to attempt a career at professional tennis with the dream of competing at Wimbledon.
Wimbledon.
But he's back now.
Actually, though, yeah.
Wimbledon.
Huh?
Wimbledon.
Oh,
Yeah. Wimbledon.
News to me.
I know.
Literally thought it was Wimbledon the whole time.
Because of Bridgerton.
Maybe, maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know. I've never known it to have a D. Like this is the Bernstein effect, the Bernstein Bear effect.
That's funny.
If you would have asked me to spell it, I would have spelled it with a T.
Yeah.
100%.
Wimbledon.
And now I know forever because you embarrassed me on air that it actually has a D in it.
Yeah, you're better for it.
You say,
Honestly,
he sounded so happy. He's like, Wimbledon.
Wimbledon sounds like a 5-year-old mispronouncing Wimbledon.
Hey Chris, are tennis balls yellow or green?
Oh. I actually looked this up after I saw that debate. I think it's yellow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it is.
Yeah.
Wimbledon.
It's insane to me.
It
that,
bothered me too for a little while, and I was like, all right, I got
What, you were green?
I was so.
I was yellow. I was always
convinced
yellow.
that they were
I
green.
was, I was so on side of green, and then when Guapo brought up the pictures of him, I'm like,
To be clear,
It's a little yellow.
to be clear, there's chartreuse, and chartreuse goes both ways. There's like chartreuse yellow, chartreuse green, and what I not that I'm advocating for one way or the other. I'm advocating for it being split. You decide. It's up to you, the user. If you want it to be yellow, it could be yellow.
He can
You want
never
it to be
just
green-
take the out.
But what I want to point out is if you find an old tennis ball, that motherfucker is green. There's no world where an
started off yellow and got a little dirt in it.
yeah, whatever.
Green.
I don't care what led to it. There's no fucking world where you pick up a 6-month-old tennis ball and you go, that's yellow. Just absolutely not. No world.
Fair.
So in my world, In poor man's land, tennis balls are fucking green. All right. Another legend of the game picking up a mixed field bracelet. King Fui, a.k.a. Phil. Why do I get these tough names? Hui. I was going to say Huey. Hui. He beats a field of 835 players to win his 4th bracelet, $193,000 to first place. This was in the $1,500 horse event. So big shout out to him. Love to see some of the good guys picking up bracelets here. He even stated as much in a tweet he put out. He said, all the good guys winning bracelets this summer, thought I would join the party. Giddy up. Bracelet number 4. And then the final legend of the game, who for all intent and purposes has called his shot this summer.
He really did.
Scott fucking Seaver.
Wow, look at him go.
He's the new J Merce.
Yeah.
You know, Mercier has left us. We've now accepted Scott Seaver as the mixed game pony.
Pretty sure Mercier was just heads up or
three-handed in the triple draw. Yeah, but like he's not even. He didn't care.
But he's gone.
He's gone.
Shout out to Brandon.
He literally left the next day. And then he's playing 3K, 6K mix. But no, Seaver said, "Fuck cash. I'm not doing it this summer. I'm dedicating myself to the game." Big shout out to Brandon Shack Harris, who got second place in this.
Shout out, Brandon.
Yeah.
Second final table of the summer. Love to see him doing well. Obviously, big friend of the show. We were kind of rooting for him to bring this one home.
We got the umbrellas.
He's one of my longest poker friends.
He did leave a couple.
He left.
I told him he can have them back. He said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to need them back." So
yeah, he came here. Well, he came here to pick them up. I think he took some.
He took some, not all.
Oh, he left a couple.
He left me. He left my parasol.
What a guy!
I see. What a guy. But yeah, Seaver, man, he's on it. We're a third of the way through the World Series right now. Something 2 bracelets. He claims he's aiming for 26.
Has anybody had 4 in the summer?
4 bracelets?
I don't think.
No. 3 is the most?
3 multiple times. I don't think 4 has been breached.
Maybe in like 1970 or whatever.
Yeah.
80,
maybe like year 1 when it was just Billy Baxter and Doyle Brunson playing heads up.
They didn't have 4 events.
Have you ever seen those Wikipedias of like the old World Series and it's like Billy Baxter, Doyle Brunson, Billy Baxter, Doyle Brunson?
Yeah, then next to it says entries 4.
Yeah. It was like 7. It wasn't 7 like the first?
The main event,
8, like
and they just voted on it.
It was a satellite.
They didn't even play it tournament style. They just played for multiple days and then voted on a winner.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, who do you think played the best? And you can't vote for yourself. No, it's just Johnny Moss.
Johnny Moss, the legend.
Yeah.
There he is.
And then Doyle won the next 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It was an actual tournament.
So
get some check raises through and you win. Get some check raises.
I think Seaver would have a legit chance at 4, especially because I believe he's playing online. So you add in the extra 30 events online, like that's a legit shot. He also went deep in something else. I don't know if he final tabled, but it was a no limit event. It was a small no limit event, like not monster, but maybe like the 800 deep stack or something. I think he finished like final 2 tables in that as well. So he's fucking on one. Man's locked in.
Shout out, Scott.
Want to see him do it. I hope he wins fucking 7. I want to see him just like. I hope he passes Helmuth this summer. Breezes right on by Ivy.
How many does he have now? 5, 6?
6. Yeah.
This was his 6.
Wait, Scott. Wait, I thought it was 4.
He did.
had 4
coming into the summer.
Oh,
Now he has 6.
He has
Wow.
6.
6 bracelets.
Yeah. Maybe 12 by the end of the summer. He's just going to breeze right on by Ivy, just leave him in the dust, and then come knocking at Helmuth's door. Like, I'm here, baby. I'm fucking ready for it.
That wouldn't surprise me. He's a sicko.
He is a sicko. I made the mistake of max late regging the monster stack. It was a huge mistake. I didn't realize it was a 5-day event. Like, that would have been enough to put me off. Busted the first hand I played, ran a bluff with ace king, because why wouldn't I? But I did notice right behind me in line, Brian Rast. He's just out in the fucking mix. He's like on the phone. Yeah, I'm about to register this monster stack. It's like, my God, they're all fucking getting after it. They want these fantasy points so fucking bad.
Right?
I think they got a lot of side bets.
I think so too.
I think that's the thing that's mostly motivating them.
I will tell you this. I will start studying MTTs and I will put it in a full schedule if I can get like a favorable crossbook of some. All right, yeah. You give me like 20-1 on winning a bracelet and I will actually play a fucking schedule. But I just can't seem to find it.
You add mixed games to that too?
Oh, yeah.
No.
You got to jump in the mixed games.
Oh, Conrad told me Deuce to 7 is the easiest game in the fucking world and that every no limit hold'em player has an edge. So I'm probably in there. You know,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, not me busting right away, snowing a fucking Pat Jack. Not me.
No.
Wouldn't do that. No. definitely not me.
You'd actually be pretty good at single draw, I think.
Yeah, of course. It's just fucking all in.
Yeah.
I have 2 deuces in my hand. I bet you have shit. I'm all in.
Yep.
See, I get it. I'm right here.
Best game in the world.
I'll see you at the felt, buddy.
I'm just trying to ease you in right now.
I understand
It's
what's
like
happening.
the gateway.
Look,
I think
you think I
single
don't-
draw is the gateway to mixed games.
Yeah.
And then your
Start
foot's in
there
the
and then-
door.
yep.
And then it just
And you're trapped.
snowballs.
You think I don't
for life.
know how to bring a well into a good environment? Like, I see what you're fucking doing here. You're not going to court me, buddy. All right, one final thing before we get to In the Muck. Our sponsor, GTO Wizard, came out with a huge announcement today. And I, for one, am very excited about this because as a live-focused training site, this is going to give us a big opportunity to kind of revamp a little bit of our content, be a little bit sharper when it comes to ranges and things of that nature. So today they are announcing their biggest solution update of the year, including solutions for live cash, short stack game formats, and new ICM and PKO situations. So for me personally, the live ones are the biggest focus. So they have a no rake structure, which is chip EV, a live rake structure of 10% up to 2 big blind cap, which these ranges are going to vary drastically. Like, I've looked at the 10% 2 big blind cap ranges, and man, they are so fucking tight and so fucking aggressive, very foreign to what you see in live environments. This is what I'm most excited for, though. They have ranges ranging from a min open to a 7x open.
Okay.
Which is fucking great because we're going to start to be able to test some things and see some boundaries with what happens with the larger opening size.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be able to take like these wider ranges and compare them against one another for what you assume is going to be a much tighter response at the 7x. Also, they're executing stack depths up to 300 big blinds, which is exciting because I play uncapped games. So the deeper depths, the wider ranges, the tighter ranges, all of this is going to be great to look at. For the online guys, they have GG all-in or fold, WinMax short track, ACR 7-day no rat hole. That's a kind of fascinating solution to look at. The 4-max cash, anti-no limp. 4-max cash anti with limps, 7-max cash, 8-max cash single straddle, as well as 8-max single straddle with an anti. So a lot of new pre-flop ranges that I think are going to now custom fit just about any format that you play. Only exception being the carnival games. They still aren't going to have anything for like the 7 deuce execution or the stand-up game. But in general, like, this is a really big overhaul to their library. For MTTs, obviously, there's a big overhaul as well. They're adding in MTT chip EV for pre-flop and post-flop. MTT ICM, 192 new situations for pre-flop. And MTT PKOs, which includes 160 new situations for pre-flop. 8-max, 1,000 entries, 7-max, 6-max, 5-max. All for the large fields. If you guys are interested in checking any of this out, be sure to click the link in the description below or hit #wizard in the chat. You'll save 10% on your subscription if you follow our affiliate link, so be sure to check that out. Let's get to In the Muck.
Notable. All right, well, I'm back in the muck, baby.
Oh, was it shoes?
I had to do this one. I got my poker.org shirt on because I was playing against the one and only Terrence, aka TJ from poker.org, and we're playing day 1 of the Monster.
How was he in the event? He should be covering Landon and
He's in
and
there
Becker.
just mashing.
He's doing it all,
people.
man.
Man, doing it all. Okay, let's go.
Terrence was in there playing really, really well. So fold to him on the button. And he opens 2.2 at the 500, 1,000 level. I have about 50K to start the hand, and I'm in the big blind, and he covers. I have the 8-3 of clubs, and I defend. And the flop comes 10 of clubs, 6 of diamonds, 4 of hearts. Flop goes check, check. Turn is the ace of clubs, giving me a flush draw now. I check. He bets 2,500 into just under 6K, and I make the call. The river is pairing the bottom pair, 4 of spades, and So now I'm left with 8 high, and I want to win the pot.
Oh, no.
Don't do it, me.
So I bet,
do it.
I bet 8K into just under 11, and he thinks and thinks and decides I just don't have enough good hands, and he calls.
Yeah.
With
as he should. King high.
King high.
I guess king queen.
Wow, that's pretty
King
strong.
deuce. He had the deuce of clubs.
Yeah, because I know it's king high because his turn size sucks. So like when you size too small, you're doing it with a hand that like is mergy between
Yeah.
having showdown value and bluffing.
Right. So where I'm in the muck is, obviously I a suited hand, you're defending pre, and flop is just check. Turn, I think turn maybe I have some check raises, but I don't know if I do because I have 8 high with equity, so like maybe I have some check raises, even though his he has the advantage here.
Yeah, I don't know that the ace is
ever
already
have-
a card that you want to be check raising.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you ever have any overbet leads?
on the turn?
Yeah.
I also don't think that would make sense.
Yeah. I don't.
All
But,
right.
but maybe because I have 4s and I have 6s and maybe I have a sliver of 10s.
Well,
like
here's
tens
the-
don't always three. they're pure
Here's
there.
the
Yeah,
thing. It's
you
pretty
have two pair.
important. It's
Yeah.
pretty important to
2
discuss.
pairs.
Tens
I
do
have
three
all
up
the
here.
2 pairs. All the suited 2 pairs. Right.
Pretty important to discuss what Guapo just said.
Sorry.
You will have a check raise on all cards. There's never a card that you don't check raise.
Yeah.
Right. So like, yes, the ace is very good for your opposition. And so you'll be less aggressive on it,
Right.
period.
You mean in this spot, correct? There's some spots you don't have
Yes,
check.
yeah.
I mean, with
In
my
this-
specific hand, do I have a check raise? Obviously,
understand.
yeah.
I understand.
I
But
mean, there's some spots you play 0 check raise because they're polar and whatever.
yes, I know.
That's how we made it seem. That's how we
Jesus
made it seem.
Christ. Well, like generally.
I'm going to defend Landon on this one.
Yeah, that's how you made it seem.
You
You
made
always
it
get a
seem a
check
little-
raise. Like sometimes you don't get a check raise.
Generally, if you zoom out at strategies,
Me and Chris guessed it.
almost every node.
I needed Chris here.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about the tails. If you zoom out, on average, almost every node will play all actions. There will be extremes, obviously, where it funnels to a single action. But like generally, you're going to have a check raise range. You're going to have a check call range. You're going to have a fold range. Like this is the way the game works, right? We build out all of the nodes. And sometimes something happens where it's like, okay, well, this node is now void, and we eliminate it. So in general, like, yes, you'll look at the ace and you'll say, like, I don't really want to check raise it that much because he has a lot of ace X. But does he? How much ace X checks back versus C betting, right? So it's like he has some, but some of it should exit on the flop.
Versus opening half the deck on the button.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, like, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no. I was just thinking, how would I play this spot? Because it's...
Oh, well, so I think your point is valid, right? You're not going to ever lead outside of 2E because it's such a polarizing card.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have leads, Chris is right. It's only going to be overbet. Now, whether or not your hand plays lead is a different story.
Right.
And what hands you do choose to lead with is also a whole other conversation because it's not going to be very many. But like, should you have leads after check line, which you probably do have some, it's only going to be polarizing.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't the actual turn card have a lot to do with that, Matt? Like, for instance, since this is an
Yeah.
ace, like, I feel like that's definitely not something you would want to do often against particularly
Not
an ace.
often, which is why it's big.
That's why the size is
Right.
what it
Right.
is.
If it's a 9, you probably get to lead a lot.
like B40.
Yeah. Right. So your sizing is often going to be dictated by your advantage or lack thereof, right? You could be at a disadvantage and
Yeah.
still play aggressively. It just means that you're carving out a very specific portion
Yeah.
of your
Something
range.
Just because he has
selective
ace
with
king
your
and I
hands.
don't doesn't mean I can't lead the turn.
Right.
Correct.
Well, you also have, pocket 4s that you're
Right.
not 3-betting. You have ace 4.
Ace
ace
four
Four,
off,
sixes,
right,
ace
yeah.
4, ace 6,
Yeah.
ace,
Right.
ace 10, right? Like
Right.
you still have good hands and you still have some high equity bluffs that can go for the big sizes. If you get called, you can still win.
I just feel like it doesn't feel intuitive. Like, let's say the times where you do have ace 4, do I really want to overbet ace 4 here on the turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ace 4 is the nuts.
That's how you get all the money
I feel
in.
like I'm
Wait,
making
but
his
like-
decision so easy
But like, what are you scared of? What's your fear with ace 4?
that I'm just going to blow him off the hand. Like, I don't want him to fold.
Well, if you check
But like,
raise,
what if he has an ace?
Right. Yeah.
I think what Guapo's saying here is like a valid thought process for a lot of people where they're like, I'm afraid I'm not going to get maximum out of this hand.
Right.
because in some ways he's kind of right. If he's playing against recreationals, you overbet against the recreational. They're kind of like, they just go into like scared mode and start overfolding a lot, which is why if you actually don't have a hand here, it's a pretty good spot to overbet. But in theory, you're going to have a lot of overbets with a lot of hands that want to be getting the money in by river, depending on your stack depth or whatever.
I think that's the better concept to cling to, right?
Yeah.
Because the alternative thought process is I want him to stab because it's such a good card for him, which is true. So like he will just stab often. But then the reaction to that is I still need to get all the money in with my good hands, which means I'm check raising. And if I'm check raising, you're still doing the exact same thing that you were doing by leading large, which is denying him the ability to put in money with bad hands. And that shouldn't be the focus should never be so global that you want his entire range to do something. You can't stack his entire range.
Yeah.
You want to put an emphasis on the portion of his range that actually will overinvest when you have the best of it, right? And then understand that the counter to that is you'll also run bluffs through the same line work, which will fold up. Yeah.
The other thing too is
fuck
like
Lamana.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, you also have like a lot of recreational players merging like they did in this hand, right? Like they have like the field is probably overbetting the ace on the turn with like ace high or king high, queen high. There's some other hands they probably aren't checking back for value on flop balanced, right? Like you could probably in theory maybe check back. I don't know. Does kings check back here? Queens checks backs at a
On
frequency?
flop, probably not.
No?
Definitely not.
Just have a good hand against the big
So
blind.
you're a little bit more, So you're more geared towards maybe some weak 10x.
I
At
mean,
the top of your range. For checking back?
yeah, like probably
Like
just
aces might check back.
No,
like a
aces never
sliver.
checks back. But like ace king off with, whatever. I don't know if it's suit
Ace
dependent
king,
or
ace
not. But like
queen.
you'll have some ace king off. You'll have some ace queen, some ace jack.
So
that type
I
of
know in
stuff.
cash like 100 bigs. Obviously, this is chip EV. What 50 bigs?
Yeah, 50 bigs.
So yeah,
the
100
ranges are so much wider for the big blind. You get to bet more.
Right.
Like there's just so many like middle pair that need to continue, things of that nature. But
Yeah, I actually think from a principled standpoint, your line is very good.
I think
I don't think you make any errors.
I would go bigger on the river though.
Yeah, I
agree.
don't think.
Yeah, I
You'd
think
go 80% with a 4.
No, but you're not just like repping a 4.
You kind of are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You're saying you have a 4.
Yeah.
You tried to say you had a 4, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So you'd probably overbet because you're trying to say I have a 4.
Right,
Four,
but
good
the problem is you have too many hands.
Well, that's the issue of playing only flat versus the small bet, like versus B50. Like you play a lot of check raises over this size. Like in position chose a bad turn size, so you should play aggressively against it. He's hedging.
That I think is probably true.
Like what ace bets this size?
No, yeah, I agree with you there, and I think that's why I'm kind of advocating that we could have a more a smaller mergier river bet, like a B40 with like ace X, 10x.
You bet a 10?
I think you can, like for block.
Wait, and Lamana shoes?
Yeah, well,
you're not merging here with a 10.
I think that there's some incentive to whenever you're not playing enough check raise on turn because you have so many bluffs. But it becomes tricky because now like king high might get sticky, so the hands that you're targeting to fold just don't. Right, but like, because I don't think his hand pure check raises turn.
I don't think it does in theory, but
I think
the size he chose is incorrect.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But my point being is that like I don't think his hand pure check raises turn, and I don't think his hand ever folds.
Versus that size.
Yes.
No, right.
So we're gonna have a lot of those types of hands, and it's now tricky of like what happens when they miss.
Depends if he's using like 5-3 as a check raise, right? Like that's a nice one that he's gonna have. 7-5.
Yes. The combo draws we know are probably just gonna check raise, but like he's gonna have 8-3, 9 deuce, 8 deuce, Jack 9, Queen 9. No, a lot of hands.
These are all
like,
clubs for what it's worth.
Yes. Sorry. Very specifically flush draws.
But he's also going to have 4x of clubs that does check call. Right? He's not going to check raise. And then river trips, and it feels like in position's kind of he kind of forced himself to be capped with his turn size as well.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to say like I have a 4, like it's probably worth like 1.5 times the pot, maybe more.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe even like jam. You're like I'm saying I have a 4, and if he has a boat, he has a boat.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that is fair. Maybe we do need to size up this river.
Just a 4x pot jam.
Because like you're repping so thin, but like, you do have like bluffs, like the clubs.
I guess the
or
point
a
is,
four.
I think that him breaking flow on river is fine.
Yeah, I think that like
I think principally he played the hand fine. Mechanically, I think we could have a long debate about like sizings and
other choices or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to check raise when someone chooses a size that's not
correct?
Theoretically sound.
Correct.
And like I was,
it's also tough to. It might. I don't want to speak for Lamana, but it might be tough to identify in real time at 50 bigs and an SPR of like I think 5 that's not a good size.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
we know it's not a good size because ace polar.
Yeah.
Right.
Ace good hand.
And like,
worth a lot.
I don't know if this is the correct line of thought, but like, I was just like, okay, well, he checks back the flop, so he already has an incredibly wide range opening the button.
Yes.
Right? Now he checks the flop, so that entire range is now intact.
No.
He bets.
Oh, I guess not because he bets. Well,
Not at all.
Okay, not the entire range. I should say
It's the opposite.
Right.
That range is now
Actually,
capped.
no, you're right.
It's
You're right.
very capped.
You're right.
What's the strongest hand that he's checking back flop with? Is he slow playing sets?
No.
I mean,
Right,
I hope
right,
not.
no.
His strongest hand is
So-
like ace 4 for 2 pair.
Yeah.
Maybe a little ace 6.
I guess. Yeah. No. Right. You're right.
Like
yeah.
he has jacks, he's gonna bet. He has king 10, he's gonna bet. He has aces, he's probably gonna bet. He has queens,
guess-
he's gonna bet. So when he checks,
Right.
not great
So-
hands. But the aces, like you're saying, is bad for you.
Right. When an ace comes, I think now he's betting his entire range.
He shouldn't.
Yes.
Right. So
He should. Landon's also correct. He should not because he's very capped.
Right.
not do
Right.
that.
But I think.
But he probably.
But if he's
Probably-
doing that,
right.
now you check raise because he has too many hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a good exploit here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's doing something he shouldn't, so I should do something that I should
Correct.
not do either.
I think exploitatively speaking, especially when we have a hand with no showdown value, like if you had check called queen jack high, God, whatever, man.
Right.
You know, it
I
is
would
what
call
it is.
queen jack
Yeah.
here, right? You make a straight sometimes, you
Yeah.
know. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
bet. I wouldn't bluff the river, but
Right. Like I think it becomes more of a sin when you stop or when you miss the check raise with hands that have no showdown value but a lot of equity. Like Landon was saying, like 5-3 of clubs, 5 deuce of clubs.
Yeah.
Even your hand 8-3 of clubs feels a little bit dirty because you only can make the flush, but like it's just kind of like a blind follow through too, because he's just
I mean,
not.
I considered check raising.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let me ask you this: Were you afraid of check raising because you didn't want to bluff the river with this hand?
Wouldn't that be ironic?
Yeah, right. That would be. No, I think that like, yeah, I think I took maybe more of a, cautious
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah, because
the
it
thi-
feels pretty bad putting in a bunch of bets with this.
Yeah.
And the thing
with
is,
this spot.
that is
I thought that I could call, and then like on certain rivers, I could then bluff if I missed.
and the thing is to Chris's point, like if you check raise this on the turn, your strategy on the river is often going to be all in or give up.
Yeah.
And like the 4, I would probably give up because like we don't have very much 4x in our check raising range, and now like a lot of his hands become indifferent because their kickers don't matter.
Yeah.
But like a through card, like if you pair the 3, I would probably just go. If a 5 or a 7 or an 8 or a 9 come, I'm probably just gonna go. Maybe not an 8. An 8 might be enough showdown value to like
Yeah, you're checking an eight.
to check. But like all these through cards that like also complete combo draws, I would just always be all in.
Yeah.
And like you just have to commit to that before you check raise. And oftentimes it works the inverse where people decommit to that. Where they're like, oh, I don't want to check raise because I don't want to have to shove river.
Right.
Right. So it just feels a lot more comfortable to check call. And now if I'm going to bluff river, it's for far fewer chips.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened here.
Yeah.
But it sucks when you get looked up by a hand that probably has a pure fold on the end. All right, let's take a look at the wizard and see what it has to say here. All right, so starting with flop, obviously Brian's playing pure check. We can see that Terrence is going to be playing a mixed strategy of 3E or is it 2E? What's the SPR here? 7?
it's
Yeah.
probably 2E.
No, I think it's 3E.
What is it?
SPR
100 and something percent?
155.
That's 2E. They're 50 effective. There's like 6.5 in the big. There's 6.5 in the middle pre or 5.5.
Six. So
Six
like,
big blinds.
Yeah, it's 2E. This is 2E.
okay.
You just like absolutely ravage them with jacks because you need the money now.
Right. Yeah, all the overpairs just play 2E.
Yeah.
As do most of the 10x.
Yeah.
So it's a big bet spot. It does mix with small bets as well, and then some checks. So he does elect to check, and you can see that his checking range here is quite capped. Like there just aren't very many good hands here in the checking range. We can actually look at this through.
It's interesting
through
how
these filters.
capped it is in MTTs versus cash with checking back.
Yeah, I mean, you just
It's
like
just so
you just at
extreme.
a stack depth where you can stack off like ace 10,
Yeah.
but like in cash you play 100 effective. Like going 2E, you just like get called by sets only, and they don't have enough of like the 6-3 suited, like 6-3 offsuits or whatever that have a tough time.
Yeah, you can see, like, looking at the hand classes, just a tiny sliver of pocket tens will check back for protection's sake. But then the point of indifference actually becomes 10x. And it's really mostly just the weak.
It's 10x that can like call future streets with like good blocks.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
you can turn a straight maybe like 10-7's nice, 10-8's nice because the
And
7
again,
comes,
it's mostly just like for
5.
protecting the check back range sake. Everything else is like bad.
And
right?
he's,
It's like
he's
under pairs,
obviously
second
wider
pairs.
than theory because he has king deuce off, which
Correct.
is not in there.
Yeah. I mean, you can see queen 7 off is supposed to be folding. Or wait, maybe not. Sorry.
But he's got a
queen 6 off is supposed to be
he's got a tortoise
folding.
in the big blind. He
King
thinks
4
that,
off.
He attacked you.
A lot of these suited hands
the
are probably
tortoise.
in there, you would assume. So yeah, he's gonna have a lot to juggle. Okay, so he does play check back, which is a reasonable adjustment if you're too wide. The last thing you want to be doing is like over c-betting spots like this, and this board doesn't really allow it.
Ace bad.
Okay, so you can see that on the ace you do play a little bit of lead, and it is polar. It is 2E, so 155% pot. Obviously, your hand does not qualify. It's leaning more so on the high-low combos of the clubs, so like Jack 3, Jack Deuce, Queen 7. It is like choosing some of those middle-y, like basically half of the combo draw, if you will, right? You can see that like it doesn't really want to choose too much of the 5. It doesn't choose 5-3 clubs at all, and I suspect that's because it check raises it.
Right? Right. Yeah.
You'd rather just check your 5 high, hope he checks back, and if he doesn't, then you have a potential check raise candidate.
That'd be kind of disastrous if you check raise that and get shoved on though. No,
You're just not gonna get shoved on is the issue.
Yeah.
Right. Like
hard
he's not gonna bet you go like 2E check raise and then he's gonna play an all in
because he doesn't have 2 pair plus here very often.
Correct. And like if you do get shoved on, it's probably going to be by like exactly 2 pair, and then maybe the combo draw that has you dominated. Like if you have 5-3, he has a hand like 7-8.
It might just be like 0% check raise.
Right.
Or in position 3-bet jam. Sorry. I would just play range check on the ace here. Like you lead 3% of the time. What are we doing?
Right. Yeah. I think that's also pretty reasonable. But it helps to have these leads, because if you have to instead juggle all of these hands through a check raise, it becomes difficult, I think, to balance your river decisions. Right? Like either you're going to lean too passive on turn and just check call too often, or you're going to find yourself in a river decision where you have a lot more hands than you suspected to have. And now you might lean too passive when it comes to bluffing that node. Or if you're like me, you just end up over bluffing all these spots, and maybe that's disastrous too. But that's just an argument for split strategies, right? Like they're obviously not necessary.
His size is 2E again.
So the size is 2E or pot. I changed it to what he actually chose, which is 42%. And you can just see it's like not selected ever. So I'm just going to assume mistakes and eliminate the big size altogether and just give him his size. So for a one side strat.
See, like the issue here is that his range now, like for value, is an ace and it needs more money. But instead he's going very small and getting no money.
Right. So he's either hurting his value side or he's tipping his hand strength through his sizing here, which we can lock and kind of make a decision. So somehow you don't have 8-3 suited here. Why?
It's because it like leads the turn now or something.
Oh yeah, retroactively when you face no big bets, now you start leading everything.
Right, but
So-
how could I know?
You couldn't, and I think a better way to do this is
justice for the turtle. The turtle's pissed.
So
How am I supposed to know he's going to use a bad size?
Rather than eliminate the big size, let's keep the big size and then lock him to more of a capped range for the small size, so that we can see a bit more of an accurate response, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at what happens if he bets like just
mad.
Let's see what happens if he just like bets bad hands for the smallish size. So let's go second pair, third pair. He has a little bit of top pair in there already, so like we'll just leave that. Let's just assume like he's just like betting way too much and not checking enough. So reducing his checking frequency down to like 25% instead of
which I think is probably more accurate. Right? Like that card comes and people just are going to bet that card.
Right.
Especially when you check twice by the big blind.
Yeah.
Who's
I think
super,
so too.
super wide.
Yeah. All right. Let's do this stuff like this. Okay. All right, so now he's going to have a lot more of a balanced not balanced. It's going to be imbalanced, but he's going to have a lot more hands that we expect to find in the sizing that he chose. We can look to like King Deuce as what King Deuce suited instead of King Deuce off, since he's not supposed to have that hand. Okay, so now you see. Let's go back to the original note of like, do you play leads? So now your lead size changes, and because it changed, it actually reduces to 0. Right? And that's mainly because you'll face a polarizing size when he has nuts or air, which benefits you, and you'll face a non-polarizing size when he has a linear range, which benefits you. So you don't want to take away his betting options whenever they're so clairvoyant to you, basically. Okay, so now you face the smallish size, and we can see that your hand just plays pure check raise now.
Okay.
Right? Because what's happening is he's betting too many hands that have minimal showdown value. And you can just apply a ton of exploitative pressure. And that's what Chris was talking about. Right. So exploitatively speaking, if we have some oversight of the mistake that he's making with the size, then we just get to exploit the fuck out of him by taking all of our hands that have reasonable equity and just going for it. So if we sort here for club hands, look at it. Pure purple.
Yeah, wow.
We just don't really... I mean, we play calls, but it's with the pair plus. Right? So the 6X, the 4X. All the 6X and 4X, we're playing call. The combo draw, which would actually be the much more intuitive check raise, we're actually playing call because we fuck him a lot.
Well,
he has like 8-7 no clubs.
That's the thing too, is like you just don't want to get shoved on. Like
that's also true.
Anytime you have extra equity, it's like the solver is
The
always
nightmare
going
getting
to
shoved
make it.
on
You want to be polar so that you have a raise fold. You don't want to be raise calling with something that has a lot of equity but no showdown value.
Right. Like 5-3 suited, 5 deuce suited. These are still going for it, but they're so far down on the showdown value ranking that I don't think it matters that much that they have a draw or an additional draw.
How much when you click the raise button do you get jammed on here from in position?
We're gonna find out. Very, very non.
Yeah, 0. Well, that's kind of why it's like whatever. Right. I mean, I get it in practice. Sometimes people have like some ace, whatever. Like, the flush draw.
Right.
But like you're saying, you have like 2 pair plus when they don't have it, so they can't jam on you.
Right.
And any of their good hands are just going to play call for the most part, anyways.
Yeah. Right. You want to trap with your actual top end of range when you have polar, so you just call.
You get to go all in.
Yeah. So it's tough because you don't really arrive here with no showdown value. Right, like Queen Jack now becomes your 8-3.
Right. Oh, my non-showdown value just check raises.
Correct. So now, like Queen Jack
and 7-8 basically,
and 7-8 become your
7-8 7-5,
your 8-3, if you will, your 7-5.
Right.
These are basically your 8-3, and you can see they just go. They just go for it and say, "Fuck you, call me," because you don't have enough good hands. So if you make the error of not exiting through a check raise on the turn, now exploitatively speaking, you can donk jam this card, which for 400% pot feels really weird.
Right.
But Landon's point was exactly right. You're playing the 4
I think
no
you would have
4.
folded the king high.
I think you would have let that one go.
You would have folded a lot of stuff. You're saying you have a 4.
Right.
I know, right.
Like if you're saying you have a 4 and the 4 is the nuts, why would you not want to be all in with the nuts?
Right.
You know?
And they don't have a 4 very often.
No.
They can't. He can't have a 4. He bet the turn.
Right.
What 4 he got?
He didn't bet
well,
the
ace 4, that's it. Right?
Yeah.
Ace 4.
Ace 4 that chooses B40.
Well, he could have 4x of clubs that he makes a mistake
which
with.
is like a merge, right? Which probably doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I think
very
that's
often.
common. No, I think that's common.
I don't know.
I think like you turn additional equity with a low showdown value hand and like you just stab.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just pretty commonplace.
Depends. Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so like if you're gonna bluff this spot, one way or another, Tortoise, we were playing for fucking stacks once that ace of clubs came
well,
off.
if we check raise and the 4 comes, we probably get the check river, right? Because he continues, right? He's gonna have some ace.
I would expect. Oops, sorry.
Like just because we check raise the turn doesn't mean we have to be all in on the river.
Right, we discussed that before. I said I would probably check the 4, but any through card, you're just going to be all in.
I guess it depends.
Likely.
Yeah, it just depends, right?
So 4 spades, I would imagine.
Some cards better than other cards.
Yeah, I would imagine we play a lot. Yeah, so like all of our flushes,
just
or
like,
the majority
just
of our
kidding.
flushes,
I had a flush draw and it didn't come in.
They all just give up, right? But let's see what happens if instead it's like the 7 of diamonds.
I just get to like try.
I bet you get to yeet it here with a lot of your no show. Yep, there we go.
Wow,
there it is, all in.
Yeah.
8-3. Man, God, we're good, Land. We're so fucking good.
No, we're not good. We're bad at poker. bad, very bad.
Bad. Crossbook us.
More crossbooks,
the better.
Yep. More crossbooks are better.
So you two were mutually in the muck here.
Yeah.
I think
he just paid you.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, what did you end up at? You bet like 80% pot.
Yeah.
Well, oh wait, let's.
I mean, if you remove the jam side, it's going to choose the next best option, I suppose.
Well, I just want to see what King Deuce does.
I mean,
I mean, it's probably not going to call. But
Is it even in the range? It doesn't exist in the range in the first place. You had to give that to the button in the first.
Well, he's saying king deuce
I gave him
suited.
king deuce suited.
Oh, I mean,
You didn't give it to him.
he's allowed to have that one. Yeah, he's allowed to have that
He
one.
had it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we bet this size,
You can
let's
pay.
see. He
Pays clubs.
He pays sometimes. Well, he pays with clubs, right? Only
What's the only
clubs.
one he has?
Does he have any king high no clubs?
No, probably just checks
they're
the
all
turn.
just clubs.
It just the point is it checks the turn, right?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, it does appear that way. So yeah, I mean, paying the king high. I mean, if he's paying with clubs, he's probably paying non-clubs. If he ever
Yeah, he
has them
should,
too.
right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you unblock
Right.
some of your bluffs. So
Have clubs.
his pay not as bad as I suspected it to be.
I mean, he beats straight draws, right? He beats some
Yeah.
things, gets a good price.
Deuce is probably a nice card to
And
have.
he's not merging at 10,
right.
as we saw in the range. So
Yeah.
he's played 4-0-4 and went B80, and he had a king. He blocks suited fours, right? He has king of clubs, so
Right.
blocks king 4 clubs.
Right,
Deuce
yeah.
of clubs blocks 4 deuce
Well,
of clubs.
when he has king deuce of clubs, but
yeah,
in this instance, he just had some offsuit variety that we're unsure of.
yeah. I just mean the
I
machine
think
likes
it was the
it.
deuce of clubs. It might have been the king of clubs, but I think it was the deuce of
Yeah.
clubs.
The machine likes it for these reasons.
Anyway,
right?
you two mutually in the muck, and honestly, this is a great example of what
Muck
happens.
brothers.
This is a good example of what happens when we talk about EV being transferred, right? When two people choose non-optimal lines, it's not like the EV just vanishes into thin air.
Right.
It's exchanged, right? So on the turn node, he exchanged EV with you because he allowed you to realize your equity cheaper than you otherwise should. You should be facing an overbet here, right? And now 8-3 suited folds.
Yeah.
So you actually got to over-realize your equity, which is him giving up EV. But then you find kind of a bad bluff for a bad size, right? Because you now respond to his gift with another gift of, well, I don't want to choose the right size because 400% sucks. I'm out of the tournament when I'm wrong. So I'm just going to hedge and get the 80.
Nah, I left the one blind back.
Okay,
Not a
smart, sharp, very, you're learning.
It's a freeze.
But like, I'm just going to bet 80% pot instead. And now all of a sudden he's just like, well, I was bluffing, but I think I'm in. We're in. Okay, we call. And now the EV was passed back and forth, right? The important thing is when somebody gives you free EV, find ways to take it.
Right.
And being able to exploit in those nodes is what this is all about. So if you guys find yourself in the muck, be sure to head to our Discord. It's at onlyfriends_pod. That will be our pinned tweet there. You can just follow the link and join the community, or you can hit hashtag Discord in the chat. It'll give you the link for you to follow. Be sure to introduce yourself. We have an entire forum dedicated to In the Muck. Make your submission. The Tortoise will go ahead and grab a few of those. We'll talk about them on air. Don't forget to
Join me in the muck.
I got a
Please.
few of those already
You
this
got
summer.
a few of them? All right. Yeah.
We'll
Send
have-
your submissions.
We'll have you back for a live submission.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also, there's a new episode of Poker Out Loud, season 11 out today. We're getting after it with progressive stand-up game right out of the gate. Myself, our student Chi, Cece, who is a low-key killer, Sam Laskowitz, Hunt, and I believe Landon was in the mix. Actually, I know.
He was in the mix.
I know.
I don't want to
Landon
be in the
was
mix. I want out of the mix.
He wants out of the mixer.
Let me out.
That's going to do it for us today. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sorry we didn't get to talk more mixed games, but I promise in the future, all deuce to 7, baby. That's it.
We'll get you in there.
I'm going to be in the streets.
We'll get you there.
Not tournaments, but maybe tournaments. Got to cut the losses a little bit. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be joined, as always, on Wednesday by Jesse Sylvia. Be sure to tune in then. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys thought about this episode. We'll see you all then.
Peace.
Peace.